Dr. Birx, uh, Dr. Birx said that Trump mishandled the cases, killing a ton of people. Um, what did you think when you heard her admit? I mean, I think we all knew that,
Yeah.
but what did you think when you heard her say it?
The boy who cried wolf, she's kind of on a redemption tour now, trying to get her good name back. And she went on TV during this and said Trump knows the science better than anybody. Trump really does his homework. Trump knows what he's doing. And we knew in the moment that she does that because Trump yearns for that, and he makes people go on TV to talk good about him. But you can't come a year later after 500,000 people die and say, we could have probably saved 400,000 of these. You have to say that in the room. If you get fired for it, you got to speak up at some point. You got to have some sort of ethical and moral code or integrity to be like, these people are dying unnecessarily. Trump's shitting on masks, shitting on every single measure that he wants to open up Michigan and liberate Minnesota. And she was along for that whole ride. As far as I'm concerned, she is an accomplice in all that stuff. So, like I said, crocodile tears now, but we all knew in the moment that we weren't doing things that we needed to do to mitigate deaths, and that lies in the Trump administration and everybody who was part of it.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's just really bad about he mishandled this and everything else is she should have spoken up
Yeah.
then. I'm sorry. I don't, the reality is people died that didn't need to die. Um, and the other thing though too is um the damage to the economy, the damage to the credibility. It's just it's criminal.
Mhm.
It is absolutely criminal. Knock wood. I'm due for my second shot this week. By the way, I got the good news that at least with the Pfizer, I'm not sure. I think the same with Moderna. You know, I think what is it like 75 or 80% protection even before you get your second shot.
Yeah. The first shot's supposed to be
The
very
long,
effective. Yeah.
yeah. But that being said, though, imagine we should have been New Zealand. We should have been like New
Or
Zealand.
Korea. Yeah.
Um, again, you and I are big Hamilton fans, and Hamilton opened in Australia because you can do live theater in Australia.
Yeah.
We might not be as it might have been a lot harder for us to do what Australia and New Zealand did, but we could have been a lot more like Canada, our neighbor to the north, who came close to resuming a lot more stuff. It's funny because evidently they need to get vaccines from us, but they were still without vaccines
Hmm.
able to return to a lot more normality than we were,
Yeah.
right? So it's what happened here was criminal, and I don't know if it rises to the level of people going to jail, but man, damn, it hurts to know the suffering that people went through and to know that there were people in charge who literally could have done something about it from the standpoint of speaking up and pushing back. I mean, it's just it literally it's I go from having my heart broken to just wanting to fight somebody.
Yeah, it's pure anger for me. And look, to your point about Australia and Korea, look, those are smaller places, and I understand the logic of, Montana doesn't have to deal with the situation that New York does. It's, America's a really, really big place, but we also have the most resources across any nation in the world, right? And so when you have somebody like Dr. Birx who is working for somebody who's undermining our institutions, like you mentioned, right? The CDC and all of these places who are saying masks are good. And Trump does a press conference and says masks are for wussies, right? Or he has a rally with a bunch of people who are getting sick. You know what I mean? Like the Trump rallies now we know were super spreader events. So here's Dr. Birx who was praising Trump again. That her clip of going on CNN March of 2020 saying Trump knows the signs, Trump knows what he's doing to save her job. This means nothing to me. Like you said, you have to have the integrity to say something in the moment. If you're going to get fired for it, cool, but that's going to be more positive, and you could have helped more people doing that than staying quiet for the past year because you wanted your job. So we all, like I said, we all knew this was the case, that people died unnecessarily. We weren't going to never have zero deaths. There was going to be a death toll here regardless, but if we could have saved one life, let alone hundreds of thousands of lives, what a difference the year would have been.
I'm going to put something into your brain that I want you to think about, and you might answer immediately. You might even uh, think about it, and as we move on to the next subject, you may want to come back to it. But I want you to think about something. If there had been a Democratic
Mhm.
administration, the Hillary Clinton administration, and I'm not saying they performed as bad as Trump. I'm saying a Hillary Clinton administration with only 25% of the damage that happened under Trump. 25% of deaths, 25% of the impact on the economy, just 25% across the board, essentially 75% less than now. What would be happening? What would have happened to people in Hillary's administration?
Indictment.
Exactly.
They would be tried
If
for. They would be on war crimes. They'd be tried for. There'd be hearings. Look, 4 people tragically passed away in with Benghazi. Right, 4 people, 4 Americans. I would have to go back to look at the numbers, I guess, but they had 13. And they had Hillary testify 13 times in front of Congress over those 4 deaths after she was the Secretary of State, after all of that. So to think of like 50,000 people, 100,000 people maybe dying under a different administration. Again, COVID would have been much more real for Republicans if it happened under a Democratic president. That's just facts. I can't disagree with what you're saying. There would be indictments in testimony in Congress while it was happening.